Now, the sixth key quality or skill of leaders or role is measuring. And measuring is where you set standards of performance for everything that you want done. Measuring is where you make it clear exactly how success is going to be measured. There's a rule in management that says, if you can't measure it, you cannot manage it. And there's a second rule that says, what gets measured gets done. So let's talk now about leadership styles. There are many different leadership styles, and the leadership style that you choose depends upon the situation. Not only that, you may have to use different leadership styles at different times. If you are in a happy situation, you can ask people to do things. If the building is on fire, your leadership style is far more direct and commanding. Remember, if the building is on fire, you don't want to go to people and say, "How are you today? Would you like to leave the building?" How do you feel about that? You have to be much more direct. When you are dealing with people who have high leadership, high levels of skill, you just need to point out or explain the job, and they can do it. In my company, this month and last month, I am gone for 7 weeks. I do not go to my office for 7 weeks. I telephone or I sometimes email, but my company runs very smoothly. Why? It's because everybody is experienced and they all know their jobs, and they don't need direction or orders from me. Here is an interesting discovery. You can tell how well organized you are by how long you can be gone before you start to have problems. Some people are such bad managers that if they're gone for 1 day, problems begin immediately. Other managers are such good managers that they can go away for a month and there's no problems at all. The worst places to work are where people are terrified of making a mistake because their bosses are angry and their bosses criticize them and their bosses embarrass them in front of other people. So what makes a great company, number one, is a high level of trust. People feel they can make a mistake and they're okay. And I read that many years ago, and I started doing the same thing with my children. And when my children make a mistake, I say it's okay. People make mistakes. There's nothing more frustrating to a child than to have their parents continually remind them of a mistake they made in the past that they can't change. And so therefore, once a mistake has been made, let it go and concentrate on the future. Concentrate on your goals. Concentrate on what you're trying to accomplish. When your staff members make a mistake, discuss it and say, okay, what did you learn from this situation? And they'll say, well, I learned this and I learned that. You will say, that's good. Well, that's a good learning experience. And then drop the subject and never bring it up again. Very important. And what I have found is when my staff makes a mistake, instead of being angry, I say, why did you do that? And they explain it to me, and you know something? Their explanations are always good explanations. It's a reasonable explanation. It was not a crazy thing to do. Based on the information they had, it was a reasonable decision. It didn't work out properly, but they acted on the best of intentions. If you want to be a great manager, always assume that people are acting on the best of intentions. Always assume that people are doing the best they can, and then never criticize people. Allow people to make mistakes without feeling bad about themselves. My point is that we get really angry, and so we go from 0 and we get really angry up here. Go all the way up to the top of the curve and we become angry. Now, the test of how mature you are as an adult is how long you stay angry. It's okay to become angry when things go wrong. It's normal. When we're disappointed or frustrated or something goes wrong, it's okay for us to become angry. But the question then is, how long does it take for you to go right back down to 0? And this is called your forgetting curve. And you'll find that successful people have a steep forgetting curve. They forget very quickly. Unsuccessful people, unhappy people, people who sometimes have to go to psychologists and psychiatrists are people who never forget. Their forgetting curve is straight. 10 years later, they're still angry because of something that happened. Do you know anybody like this? Yes. Successful people, healthy people, forget about things in the past and focus on the future. There's a wonderful little line that says that when you turn toward the sunshine, the shadows fall behind you. When you think about where you're going and what you want to accomplish, the negative stuff just falls behind you. And that is the key to being a positive and happy person, is keep turning toward the sunshine and forget about the things that happened in the past. So the kindest thing that you can do for your staff is to make it clear to them what you expect them to do. Many times I have been frustrated with my staff almost to the point where I'm ready to fire them and send them out of my company. And then I say, wait a minute, is this a fair thing to do? And then I realize that they're doing the best they can, but it's me who has not made it clear what I want them to do. Have you ever found a staff member working on something and you say, what are you doing there? Well, I'm doing this. Well, why are you doing that? Well, you told me to do this. Yes, but that's something to do when you have spare time. This is your most important job over here. Oh, you didn't tell me that. So I'm doing the best I can on this job because you didn't tell me that something else was more important. Have you had that experience? Of course, we've all had that experience. So you are the leader and you are responsible. If your staff member is not working on the most important job, then you are responsible for making it clear that this job is most